Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Karens. In today's episode, Karen calls in parents for backup. 4 people who work in auto parts stores. Male Karen can't comprehend that we close. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Karen calls in parents for backup. I work in retail, need I say more? Well, I'm going to anyway. Today Karen wanted to return a pair of shoes she had clearly worn, scuffing, dirty inside, little stones and dirt in the tread, but you can't get a change of mind refund if the product isn't in resellable condition. Interestingly enough, she first told me she'd worn them for 3 days before they became uncomfortable, then it was 1 day, then at the end after she had me call management, she'd only worn them for 2 minutes in the house. She was told no, so decided to throw the shoes at me before walking out the door. 30 minutes later an older woman, probably around 70ish, came in with her husband close behind and demanded the shoes back, to which I happily obliged. She then demanded to know why I didn't return them, and I explained the policy to her just like I had her daughter. She snatched the shoes from me, told me her daughter was in the car park crying, then said the standard "I'm never going to shop here again," then followed it up by saying our shop is shit and I'm the devil's spawn. I'll put money on it I'll see her and her little angel within the week. As for being the devil's spawn, I wish someone had told me sooner, surely that title comes with benefits. We need a sign on the counter "Sorry, we have reached our quota of Karens today. Please come back tomorrow." I am glad I am not working in retail. My response would probably be something like, "Sorry ma'am, I can't return the shoes since the police took them as evidence in an assault case and get in some kind of trouble." It's so hard not to say anything to defend yourself. In our training we're told to put our head down and pretty much just take the verbal abuse. Only when it gets physical can we do something, and even then the something is to move away to where they can't see you. The amount of comebacks I can't throw, it builds up, and I can see why some people eventually just crack. Yes, you may retrieve them from the dumpster where they were put since we couldn't resell them. Whenever I have witnessed a Karen stating she will never come back to a business, I can't help but yell out, "Promise?" Yes. It's like, "Can I have that in writing, please?" I had a woman try to get me in trouble for saying "thank God" after she made that exact statement. She called later to complain about me to the store manager. It was me, I was the store manager. I made sure to let her know I would have a stern talking with said employee and hung up on her. Funnily enough, it was a shoe store as well. One of my favorite moments in retail was working a customer service desk in a situation like this. It was resolved by the next customer in line, leaning in and saying to my Karen, "Sweetie, you can't return used shoes. You can't just wear shoes for a while and bring them back. You just can't." While shaking her head. It was hilarious. I also started incorporating "sweetie" into this conversations more often. Oh. Can we hire people to pretend to be customers and say things to Karens those with lanyards can't say? "I'm never going to shop here again." I would have replied I would appreciate that. I always just say, "Thank you. My point is made, but I have plausible deniability that I was just being polite." Retail employees should legally be allowed to fight one customer per year. Nah, there's too many of them to just choose one. Rather, there should be an annual purge day, chosen at random, so the Karens can't predict when it is, where staff can say/do whatever they like without fear of repercussions. I managed a sneaker store for 20 years. The real trick to shut them down is that 90% of athletic shoes have removable insoles. The industry calls them sock liners. Anyhow, the sock liner is designed to mold to your foot to improve fit. It takes a couple wearings. When I got the old, I just wore these for 30 minutes in my kitchen lie. I would just pull the sock liners out of the shoe and lay them on the counter and say, "This is your footprint." It never failed to disarm the Karen. "She threw the shoes at you?" Ban her from the store. For people who work in auto parts stores. You know what the best part of working in an auto parts store is? If we get a Karen acting out of line, we can kick them out of our store and then call other stores in the area to warn them about the oncoming jerk. The reason this works is because if one auto parts store refuses them service, they still need the parts. The best feeling in the world is when you know that a Karen who's having car trouble is likely gonna have to walk a couple miles or risk breaking down in order to find a store that'll actually cater to them. And where I live, the advanced autos are all directly across the street from all of the AutoZones. I work at O'Reilly's. We got an AutoZone 2 blocks away, a Napa down the street, and an Advanced slightly farther. The moment we call all three, they warn the closest, and then they warn the closest, and then they warn the closest, and then they warn the dealers, and then they warn everyone. It's great seeing someone get owned to the point they can't drive around to spread ruining someone's day. We kick people out no problem, LOL Team Green baby. Had this exact thing happen at the auto parts store I work at this week. I emailed a picture of the older gentleman from our cameras to other stores within the same company and warned our competitors as well. Funny how when something like this happens, yes, we are competition, but we stand in unison when it comes to how we are treated. Good luck getting your ignition cylinder for your 96 Mustang, pal. I wonder why this tactic isn't utilized with airlines. If a passenger becomes unruly and is banned from traveling on one airline, they should be restricted from all air travel. Might make someone think twice about punching out an air travel employee because they didn't enjoy their in-flight serving of pretzels. A wise sage once said, "Don't shit where you eat, Karen." The best part is that vulgar language is the normal because you deal with mechanics and thus you are not obliged to be nice at all. Male Karen can't comprehend that we close. Okay, for starter, I will not use any Americanisms in this telling. If you think this is BS, well, you can think what you want. Okay, story. In my current job, which is petrol station, we close at night and have so since the place first opened. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Well, after closing time, I doing my temp checks. I have my earpubs in and enjoying a podcast. Bang bang bang. This bald guy is pounding on the door. I go to the door and before I say anything, he bites my head off. "Why aren't you serving me?" He's shouting through a locked glass door. "We're closed. Have been for over an hour. How am I supposed to get fuel?" "Somewhere else. You got the Supermar." I don't want to hear excuses. Turn the pumps on. After 20 years of working in this industry, once you start swearing at me, I don't give crap. If I could, I still wouldn't serve you. In the UK, this very true. I can choose to serve or not for any legitimate reason. Being abusive is a pretty solid. But Kevin doesn't like this. Why don't you do your job? I'm the janitor. This shuts him up and he stomps back to his car and his wife, who looks pretty pissed but was silent all through this. At me or him, don't know. Gets in and speeds away. Now, I seriously question people this. For starters, just to get on site, he going on the wrong of traffic island on an 50 miles per hour A road with no street lamps, go through a no entry size, down a one-way road to a station where the lights are off, the pumps are off, the shutters are down on the shop and doors are locked. Is that not enough hits? Bro. That gave me a knot in my forehead, spell check XX. OP's not icing Americanisms, so don't ask. Which words gave you trouble? Because as a Canadian the only thing I can see kind of tripping up an American being either a road or petrol, LOL. American here. I could translate enough that this was super funny. I don't understand why people get so bitchy. I used to work at a fast food place and people would show up at 6 a.m. telling me, "Well, Google says you're open." Sorry dude. We just got here. Grill is still cold. We don't open for half an hour. Check the open close sign on the door. Oh yeah, I dealt with people like this in retail. I had someone let herself in after closing while I was shutting down a clothing store alone. The door lock only worked from the outside, so we couldn't lock it until we left. She rudely ignored me and proceeded to mess up every single display in about 60 seconds. Same job, we'd occasionally get phone calls close to closing time from people who didn't leave their house early enough and wanted to just show up an hour or more after closing, as if anyone would be there to wait on them. We all had busy lives outside of work. I had people try to get into the pack and ship store I managed after closing, expecting it to still go out the same day, as if the pickup deadline wasn't an hour before that. I'd tell them if it really needs to go out today, the hub is still open for X minutes and you're going to have to run to make it, and they'd throw insane tantrums like it was somehow my fault they didn't plan ahead. I'm so glad I work in a different industry now. I rarely have any contact with the public. Was Kevin United statistician? I ask, because many states here have almost entirely self-service petrol, so the pumps stay on 24/7 for CC purchases of fuel. This does not excuse his behavior. I'm mostly curious. I'm always thinking of that Americans episode of Faulty Towers, where the American isn't satisfied with the limited after-dinner menu and wants the full-service menu. I'm the janitor. Great line. I can imagine the boss closing up when someone knocks at the door. He says, "Sorry, I can't help you. I'm the janitor." That's my generic answer. I'm the janitor. I just clean shit all night. Obviously, the world revolves around him, and us lowly service people are to jump and stand in attention. Don't you know this by now? But yes, you would think all those points you mentioned would be sure signs. Unfortunately, for years, and more so since COVID, humanity has been in a handbasket. Why in a handbasket, you ask? Well, we're all going to hell at this rate, with all these people with such attitudes. Trying to make his wife happy. People can be stupid. Entitled people typically are even more stupid than average. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.